active roster.
Oh, that's good. I wasn't even going to ask you that, but that's good to know. Seriously, I was going to mention to you that Hal and I were having an interesting talk with Brunskill just about pre-snap motion and having to be on details and all the stuff you talked about. And he mentioned a couple things. He said that guys on the team have to have the courage to tell the coaches if they're not getting something with the complexity of it. He said that could torpedo some plays. So I was going to ask you, do you think that's been an issue? Have any guys come to you and said, this is just too complex for me to handle? And also, I wondered, have you changed your demeanor in terms of, over the course of the last couple months, becoming less tolerant with those types of mistakes? Have you become harder on the guys or said, this is unacceptable, I'm not going to accept you not knowing the playbook and all the pre-stat stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would say what he's speaking, what Dan's speaking of the communication lines to be direct from top down or down up or however that works out. You know, that's something that's right in his recent wheelhouse because, and it's something that we rely upon our relationships and incessant communication to make sure guys are convicted. And you're convicted when you're convicted, you're confident, and when you're confident, you play football in a fashion that's can be similar to the next guy and consistent. So with all those things, I think it's pretty easy for me to tell when just by body disposition and mannerisms, nonverbals aplenty when someone's not comfortable with something. It's as simple as you can see a receiver if he doesn't feel comfortable with his inside foot up, you'll see him wobble a little bit and mess with his back foot, and then the offense won't get set. If you see, the first couple times that we ever put Alec on the line of scrimmage, you could see in his stance that he wasn't. So that's something I think that's fresh on his mind, that the execution of an offense as a group doesn't occur really with consistency if there's one or two, or if people are loose or gray on their responsibility. You basically find out by result a lot of times if you have everybody blocked and there's one guy in the hole unblocked. The guy that was responsible for that assignment is probably pretty uncomfortable with auditory, physical, whatever it is. So, and then with really controllables, beating ourselves, that whole umbrella, it was probably the easiest coaching that I've done in my career, in that games played out to, if we're prepared and on the details and had gone through the practice week with full conviction on things. Literally, success or failure was based on our own really input. When we were late to get to the line of scrimmage, a little uncertain in communication, we were getting false starts, or you have dropped balls, or you have missed assignments. And in those games that they would occur, you'd score 6 points. And then you'd execute and you'd score 30. And it's like, I think the tone changed as the experience changed. One thing I really, really struggle to tolerate is not learning from something. I can always accept something if you gain something out of the failure or whatever, whether that's controllable or uncontrollable, regardless. But when things happen to your detriment and you don't learn from it and fix, and we don't make something good out of that, that's where I get triggered. So, I don't have any tolerance for that. That's like my very specific, but my skin crawls even talking about it. But realistically, it was super easy. Do you want to go to the game and score 6 points or 30? You do have a say in part of that. There's a lot of other things that go on, but there was right in the middle of the season, like flat out. And you'd go to a game, and if it wasn't ever expecting us to not be on our stuff. So then when you find out the hard way, yeah, I've probably combusted a couple times, um, and you adjust to your people, and you're just relying on that things get fixed. And for me, I don't have any problem. Uh, uh, I'm very blunt about facts. Are you doing something to contribute to winning or contribute to losing? And what are we doing today, and where do we put our focus? And if you want your football to be better, you have to work on it and be mindful of what you're working on. Can't be going through the motions and doing anything. And the only way that you start a season with more losses than wins, and then win games after that, is guys learn, guys don't quit, and guys are focused on the right stuff. I think that's we've learned a lot in all of that. What does it mean? We have a game this week against the New Orleans Saints, who I know you're eager to ask me questions about. And I think what lessons have we learned from all of this, and how are we going to apply it to the Saints? And that will be the story for the remainder of the season. How well we focus on each individual opponent will have a direct correlation in our win and loss record.
This was about the time of the season last year we saw Chop Robinson's sack numbers start to climb, and I know sacks don't tell the whole story with players on defense, but what have you seen so far from him this season, year two, and what would you like to see the back end of the year from him?
I've seen a very important rite of passage for an NFL player, in my opinion. As an NFL player, you are earning your respect and regard amongst your peers around the league, and I think it's made clear to players when guys respect their game and have high opinions, and word of mouth travels fast. And then when expectations of results aren't met, that's the sink or swim for all players. And I've seen Chop, who is the hardest on himself, relentless, driven, ambitious ball player that wants to have a 25 sacks every season. How are you going to handle when things don't go exactly your way? It's the test of all people in this league, and it makes or breaks you. And what you worry, confidence, you worry about, if guys are going to go outside of their responsibilities to try to make plays. It's always well-intentioned, but that can be selfish football. I've seen more focus into the ground up, each step focus, hand placement, but not losing the confidence. What does that mean? I know we're going to get good football and ascending football, and it's kind of ironically proving who I thought he was. He's a big part of the team. There's a lot of stuff that he does that other players benefit from simply by his tenacity and his get off on each and every snap, for his teammates, both on the second level and the first. And I'm excited to watch him play because he's in a good place, and it's not easy. Everybody has high expectations for themselves, and he's at the top of the list for that. So very hungry, very eager to take advantage of some opportunities that will come his way as he works through the work week to get ready for this Sunday.
Mike, New Orleans could have a relatively unknown running back there. Yeah, and they'll have a rookie quarterback. Is it tough to get your players to focus on, the opponent and not the name on the back of the jersey?
There's every year's different. This particular team, I'm very focused on that. My eyes are wide open to see at the drop of hat if anybody's taking anything lightly. What I've witnessed thus far in our work week is we've benefited from being on the other side of that very recently, meaning that's probably what the last 4 teams that have had to play us have been battling. You're talking about a record, and what does that mean? Jack S. for the Sunday. You have 2 teams playing a football game, and if one team decides to give the ball to the other team 2-3 times, the other team's probably going to win. And football. If you haven't noticed, the ball is oblong. I don't know where that's bouncing. You have to. The NFL will teach you the hardest lessons that will have you lose sleep at night. If you make the mistake of taking anybody lightly, whether people have taken our team lightly, not really important debate to me. However, I think it makes our team a little more aware of the negative effects of thinking that your nameplate or your team logo earns a win, because it does not.
Saints defense, Demario Davis has been doing his thing for a long time. I'm curious, when you watch them in preparation for the game, like when you're going back and forth in your clicker, what are some things that he does that makes you keep going back and forth on that?
Man, I got a professional scar playing against him. Probably he's up there. I haven't been fortunate enough to know him, but going against him and watching him play is, my generation really, top 5 of my favorite defensive players. This is a war daddy that in 2020 really had us go back to to kind of the workshop to figure out some protections that he presented issues on, and he does so with just relentless physical approach. He's a dog. Needless to say, I very much took the appropriate time preparing our players for his style of play. Very much appreciate his whole career and what he's doing this year and every year I've ever seen him play. Him and Cam Jordan are unicorns in this league. It's like they make us all feel old with elite athletic production for decades on decades. So I think it's hard for me to not think of those 2 in particular when the Saints name comes up. They're impactful defensive players that you have to be very prepared for, or they physically make you pay for that.
You said it was a scar. Was it a particular play that?
No, it was several plays of him. To be honest, you as a coach, you want to be prepared for everything, and specifically, you want to be prepared for, the answer to the test for your head coach and your team. And when a individual player checks, just ends up physically creating an issue that you can't solve schematically, that's a scar. It was a one day at the office for among many for him playing football, but I remember playing him, and after the game the whole team knew exactly who he was, and I think that speaks to he's on every Sunday that I've ever seen him play, 56, is trying to hunt and tattoo somebody. And if you aren't prepared, whether you're a first or second level blocker, he strikes, sheds, and has made many opponent look weak and dismal. So you got to be on your stuff.
Tua has had some new obstacles present themselves this season, whether it be the interceptions on the field, some of the things he said off the field. How have you seen him attack all of that, the totality of all of that?
Well, it's kind of the measure of, the in the National Football League, if you're going to be successful at franchise quarterback, head coach, trainer, video director, like you have to be able to continually learn. And the second that you stop growing, there's somebody else that's willing to. So when you Tua has always given me so much confidence because he is so tough-minded in his ability to be frustrated but then attack, but be relentless on his expectations of himself, but continue to grow into the leader that this team needs him to be. And one example, the position of quarterback is so multi-layered. One thing that I don't think anybody, I know I wouldn't as a fan pick up on it, but like you're a quarterback, his operation with and getting our offense to have the right amount of conviction. I'm talking out of the huddle, getting the line of scrimmage fast, making sure that guys are motioning, getting set in unison, and then attacking the post-snap play. He's brought our offense to a higher level of operation with usually you need extra veteran players who have done it before to step up their game. He's done it with a lot of new faces, some young players, and it's been absolutely necessary and monumental for our team, really. So there's a litany of things that he's always working on something. There's always something that in your game that you're trying to address and perfect, but he relentlessly attacks it without wavering, and you need that from your quarterback because you're going to have great days, mediocre days you want back, but the whole machine, the whole team has to keep moving with confidence in one direction. I think our team's growth in confidence and growth in style of play has a direct reflection and can be attributed to what Tua is doing. So when you do that, the things that are a little more obvious to everybody in terms of how you feel him playing the position with conviction and his statistics and all that stuff comes right along with that. I think he's I have high expectations for him. He has high expectations for himself, and I'm fired up for this Wednesday NFL work week because I know he's going to go. He's going to be the leader of the entire team down and walk through in a couple minutes, and that will progress to practice, and he'll compete and get better from that, and that's what you need for your team, and that's what everyone needs to do, which he's doing a good job of leading by example.
Mike, I want to ask you about Ollie Gordon. We saw the moment between you two in the postgame in Spain, but he seems to have a really infectious personality, always smiling. What's it like to coach a young player like that in the NFL who just seems to just always be, I don't know, happy is the right word, or just always passionate, I guess?
No, so Ollie's got a really dynamic, cool personality, giant human being that has a zest for life and a thirst for it, really. He kind of embodies, kind of what I was trying to explain back in, I don't know, was it owners meeting or last off season. No, it was after the draft. It was in the spring. But the group of guys we have felt very good. The whole rookie class, in particular, much like Ollie, and you can go through round 1 to round 7. You know, the players that you draft that embody your draft class, with those guys being, 4 to 5 year contracts. That's a good chunk of what your roster, what your team is, your character, your culture of your team. Because again, I've said before, it's 45% roster turnover every year. The guys that aren't turned over are the guys that you've drafted. So what your team is from an identity standpoint, from how they come to work, the energy with which they go to walk through or meetings, whether they are getting through the day or attacking the day. I think, we had very reasonably high expectations for the class because of how they measure man-to-man and as a group. In that regard, there's a spirit, a focus, a desire from Ollie, from all the way to KG up to Quinn. The whole class has delivered on what the team needed from them, and that's to be passionate, football first teammates that are willing to accept that they're rookies and don't know anything, and will experience failure, compete, and not bat an eye. I've seen Ollie become one of the veterans within the team, and post Thanksgiving, rookie year's pretty much over. We're now in year 2, and I think you're starting to see the elements that we were hopeful of from that draft class, which makes games more competitive and practices more spirited and the football better.
When Austin Jackson has been in the lineup, what makes him an effective run blocker?
His conviction is on the top end of any lineman I've been around, in terms of he is trying to make a play by technique, force, and body mechanics. He's going after the opponent. That competitive, violent play style that he aggressively attacks people with, it's infectious. Him being in the huddle is infectious. I've been very, very happy with, Larry and the whole group. I didn't know if we'd be able to get to that tonality of how we play football and our physicality and conviction. I didn't know how much Austin not being there was going to hurt. I've been very proud of the group, but getting him back into football and just into the huddle is a big deal for our football team, because he's not only a really good player, but he adds value to all those around him by his consistency, commitment, talent, and quite literally, I'm really fired up about his aggressiveness. So it should, as he participates in today's practice, it should have a solid effect. Thank you.